Okay, so again, good morning, everyone. Today is a Wednesday, and we're already halfway through the month of July. I would always say that the month of July, it means we've entered half of 2026. So a lot of you are already in the middle of your review, IELTS review, or probably towards the end. And some of you have just started. Okay, so sometimes it's a bit confusing. It can get a little bit overwhelming when you think about how you are going to navigate your way towards your target band score. Okay, so let me give you some tips. You have a target band score. Ito yung nire-require ng universities, ng establishments, ng mga institutions na ina-applyan nyo. Am I right? Okay. So probably you need a higher than 7. Or for those naman, general training students, you just need a 5, 4.5, not lower than that, depending on what you're applying for. So that is your required band score. So a tip before you take the exam, make sure that you're getting higher than your required band score, because we have what you call a final assessment. That's an interview and checking your writing essays. Okay? So, dun yung makukuha yung go signal sa mga coach nyo. Okay, you're ready? But you have to be consistently getting the required band score on your mock tests. And you have to consistently be getting higher than that. At least 0.5 higher than that, or kung gusto mo talagang i-achieve yung extreme, then one band score higher than your required band score that you should be consistently getting in your mock tests and your coaching sessions before you take the exam. That is if you want to save the 14K that you're going to be paying for the test. Of course, hindi yun maliit na halaga. It's also quite pricey to take the exam. And if you are not going to if you're not going to achieve your required band score in one take, then it means you have to retake the test, which means madadagdagan na naman yan. If it's one skill retake, I think it's around 9,000. But if you're going to take the test again, like the whole thing, you're going to pay for it again, 14K again, okay? I don't know the exact fee, pero nasa ganong range, okay? Now, the tips that I'm giving you is for you to be able to create a structured plan in order for you to achieve your required band score. Okay? So we're going to talk about simple habits on how to improve your English. So IELTS can be very intimidating because it's new to you. Okay? So at my level, when I started 2 years ago, I actually thought that IELTS was going to be easy because I graduated as an English major. I have a bachelor's degree on that. And I actually underestimated the difficulty level of IELTS. But when I started taking my mock tests, that's when I realized that it really is a top one English proficiency test in the world. Kasi the standard is really high. Have you tried doing the mock test? Okay, you're gonna find out what I'm talking about when you start doing the mock test. Have you started doing the mock test? What's your impression? What's your first impression? Mm-hmm. In the listening test. Yes. So in the listening test, you will be encountering several different accents. Australian, you have an edge because you lived in Australia for 2 years, right? We have the standardized American accent, but apparently in America, there are different accents. Boston accent, South American accent, Texas accent, iba-iba. Parang sa Pilipinas lang din. We have different dialects, so people tend to speak Tagalog differently as well. May mga punto-punto, ganun. So that's the difficulty when it comes to the listening test, right? Now, when it comes to reading, nakakadugo talaga siya ng brain because you will be encountering highly academic context passages. Okay? At first, it's going to be overwhelming. But that's why you're here in the review center in order for you to go through it over and over because eventually familiarity to the activity will build your skills and you will get to learn the techniques and strategies on how to actually get a higher band score. Okay? Sa umpisa lang naman siya overwhelming. That's why if you feel like you're not in a very advanced level in English, kasi meron tayong levels eh. In IELTS, we have band levels. Band 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wala pa naman ako na-encounter na student so far na band 3 pababa. Kasi most Filipinos naman, we are all educated in the English language because it's our second language. Right? So now, let's say you're in the beginner level. We have low beginner, mid, high. After that, we have the intermediate level. Low intermediate, mid, high. After that, we have the advanced level. Low, mid, and high. May tatlong level din yan. And then we have the highest level, which is native speaker-like. When you're a native speaker-like, it's either you've been practicing IELTS for so many years, or you lived abroad ever since. Kaya naman native speaker ka na, yung skills mo talaga, pang native speaker na. But now let's say you're in the intermediate level. I believe beginner level and intermediate level students, ma-overwhelm at ma-overwhelm sila sa complexity ng IELTS. Am I right, Valerie? Even though you're a fresh senior graduate student, even though you're already a bachelor's degree holder, it doesn't matter. IELTS is difficult for everyone, okay? I'm not going to give you false expectations because that's reality. Sabi ko nga, ako, I'm in the industry for a decade, in the English teaching industry. In IELTS, only 2 years. So, na-overwhelmed din naman talaga ako. Kasi hindi talaga siya. It's not an easy exam. So now, let's try with simple habits. Let's try to build simple habits in order for you to rewire your system into thinking in English, speaking in English, writing in English, and listening English. Okay? We need to start with the basic because I believe kapag sinimulan mo siya sa overwhelming task, it's gonna be hard for you. Ang result niyan, tatamarin ka. You're not gonna be motivated at all. Kasi parang, hindi ko siya kaya. Okay? So, if you feel like nandun ka sa beginner level, intermediate level, start with simple things first. Okay? That's why I want to talk about thinking in English every day. Why am I going to talk about this? Because I've experienced a lot of students in our one-on-one coaching sessions. Ang unang-unang sinasabi sa akin, I can't think of the word that I want to say. And it's actually normal. You don't have to feel bad about it. It's not an isolated problem. It's not a you problem. It's a problem among a lot of test takers because English is not our mother tongue. And not everyone speaks in English in this country. Tama ba? In every day of your lives, do you speak English? No. Pero si Dustin kasi, he lived in an English-speaking country. I-compare natin yung English proficiency mo before living in Australia. Can you tell us about it?
Nothing changed that much because normally I already know how to speak English because my brother grew up speaking English.
Is he Australian? No.
No, he's not Australian. It's just, like the normal Gen Z guy where
Gen Z guy? Okay.
he grew up speaking in English, so I'm so used to speaking to him in English that it's like common thing where we're going to talk or we're going to talk about something. It's almost think in English. Instead of speaking Tagalog. So That's why when I came in Australia, it was easy, but the only problem that I had was the thick Australian accents. And the way they talk are so fast that sometimes I can't keep up with what they were saying because normally they always sound drunk.
Yes, actually, sino dito nakapag-mock test na naka-experience ng Australian accent? Do you agree with Dustin? Yeah, hindi mo pa na-experience. Pero, yun yung pinaka-ayaw ma-experience ng mga test takers. That they would have the listening test in Australian accent. Tama ba? Kasi even Dustin, who lived in Australia for 2 years, is still struggling. Is it a recurrent thing? Are you still struggling? Or are you slowly getting used to it?
When I stayed there, I wasn't having problems normally. But there's this one coworker I had where he talked about a accident or something, but his accent was so thick. It's like a drunk old guy talking with, but I understood everything he said. Just that it's hard to keep up because they talk fast. They the thick accent. It's like punching you every time they're talking. But I got used to it.
Eventually.
Yeah, I got used to it eventually. At least I didn't get the Australian accent because I had to due to COVID. But yeah, the only problem that I had when I was in Australia was finding the right words as well. Because us in the Philippines, when we practice speaking in English, we can like
We translate the
yeah,
words.
to translate the words to ano yun? Ano yung sa Tagalog ng gano'n?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But in English, it's like I can't even do that because how would they understand that? I want to pinpoint something, but I don't know what it is for them because for us, it's like ganito yan sa ganitong paraan. But in my terms, I couldn't say that, and I had to Google, what is this on? How can I speak this way without them taking it wrong?
Misinterpreting.
Yeah, that was the most problem that I had when I was in Australia.
So you were there pre-pandemic.
Yes.
And then after that, you stayed in the Philippines for 5 years? 6 years?
Yes.
Kasi we're already
6 years.
over the pandemic after 6 years.
I stayed Australia at least like 2018 to 2020. But I was the one staying for my own college fees in back in Australia. But when the pandemic hits, all at work I had was event stuff and food and beverage, which is requires face-to-face contact with humans. So that's why I couldn't continue working, and we got terminated, and I couldn't pay my student fees.
Okay. So, okay, now my next question is, when you came back to the Philippines, how often did you speak English?
I still speak English almost every day because of my brother. Because
you live with him.
I live with him, yes. It's like I said, even though
he's in the Philippines too.
Yes. Even though he understands Tagalog now, it's like my head knows that if I'm gonna talk to him, it's gonna be English.
In the day, how often do you talk? Like,
I don't talk every day. In English wise? Yeah, we always talk every day.
In your workplace?
I don't have work right.
Okay.
But
Angel, how about you? I'm sorry. Angel, how about you? How often do you speak English? It's okay. You can just tell us. Not very often. From 0 to 10, how often do you think it is? 3. Okay, that's fine. How about you, Valerie? 8. Can you describe it a little bit? Through speaking. Chatting. Chatting and speaking are totally different, okay? All right. Not totally different, but there's a difference between speaking and chatting, writing. That's why we're going to cover all these areas, okay? Yeah? Do you want to say something else? Okay, so yung iba sa Zoom, I'm not going to ask everyone because it's going to take so much of our time. So this particular lecture is for those who are not yet accustomed to speaking English. That's why we need to rewire you, okay? Or if not rewire, it's a blank canvas and I need to wire you in English, okay? So the problem with most candidates for IELTS is that you're rushing. You have a certain timeline as to when you're going to take the exam. But that timeline doesn't match the level of your skills. Kaya naman yung iba, medyo sad kasi, ay, hindi ko nakuha ng first take. When your coach already told you, you would need more time. Probably, meron kayong agency na inaapura kayo or meron kayong mga kamag-anak na hinihingan na kayo ng results. But the thing is, the common mistakes that test takers do is they book the exam and take the exam when they're not yet ready. That's why you have to make sure that you are ready. If you can afford it, the 14K or the 9K for the one skill retake, then take the exam as many times you want. But realistically speaking, it's not a small amount of money. Okay? Huwag tayong magsayang ng pera. That's why I'm giving you these tips. In order for you to be able to save yourself. Pero okay din naman. I'm not saying that if you fail it, I'm not saying that if you didn't reach the required band score on the first take, it's the end of it. You just have to retake it. It just meant that you're not yet ready for that specific band level. You're not yet on that level, okay? And things take time, okay? We live in an era wherein gusto natin ng instant gratification. Porket sinabi ni coach na there are students who were able to achieve their band score within 4 months time, 6 months time. But the thing is, you are different from your classmates. See, Dustin, he has a different background, exposure to English. Angel has a different exposure to English, as to Valerie also has a different exposure to English. And I can't address those differences that you have because iba-iba tayo ng kinalakhang environment. But I want you to understand that your environment plays a very big factor on why hindi ma-rewire ang English sa isip, sa utak mo. Okay? Because language learning is like building muscle. Your brain is a muscle, right? So you need to train it. And it needs to be trained regularly. Okay? So some of you, yung pacing nyo, yung growth nyo in your English skills, it might take time. Others are a bit faster, but that's okay. The thing is, don't compare yourself to your classmates or to the others. We are all different. Iba yung intellectual capacity ng bawat isa. But if you want to start with simple habits, we're gonna start with number one mistake that most test takers do is they translate instead of, okay, you translate. Sabi ni Dustin kanina, kapag may hindi siya maisip sa English, iniisip niya muna in Tagalog and then try to translate it in English. Tama ba? When you are speaking in English, it takes a lot of energy for you to translate. That's why translation is not the best option. Okay? We start with simple ways. Train your brain to think in English with simple strategies first. So number one is name everything around you. Instead of thinking of the word in your own language, think of that specific word in English. Even if you start with basic words, don't worry, you don't have to aim for complex words right away. Let's start with basic words first. Okay? Number one tip is make sentences about objects around you. Okay? Ngayon, ma'am, medyo hirap ako sa sentence construction. Alright? Wag muna yon. Use one word at a time. Even if that's a simple word like, oh, my smartphone. Or probably when you wake up in the morning, okay, what am I gonna have for breakfast? O siguro unang magpa-pop up sa isip niya, breakfast. Di ba? Breakfast. Okay. Sa mga susunod na araw, magle-level up yan. Breakfast, black coffee, boiled eggs. Sa mga naka-calorie deficit. Okay? And then the following week, baka medyo buo na yung mga sentences sa isip nyo, and then you're gonna start thinking, I'm gonna be having boiled eggs and black coffee for breakfast. Pero sa first few weeks, una nyo lang marirecall muna yung mga words like breakfast, black coffee, boiled eggs. That's okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna progress along the weeks. Again, don't aim for perfection, okay? The thing is, you have to make it a consistent practice to think in English. Okay? Ngayon, the reason why a lot of you are frustrated with your IELTS mock test results is because the level of difficulty of IELTS, hindi ka pa hone for that certain level. Kaya that's why I'm giving you these tips. Bago ka ma-frustrate sa mga results ng IELTS mo, i-address muna natin yung pinaka-issue dito, which is hindi ka pa masyadong sanay to think in English or to listen to English. Kaya naman, throughout your IELTS journey, I want you to incorporate English in your daily lives. Not only 10 minutes of your time, not only 30 minutes of your time, but all throughout your day, create a habit of thinking in English. So, you have to expose yourself with English materials. So, dati, nanonood ka ng... Ako kasi mahilig ako makinig ng podcasts. How about you guys? Because when you're listening to podcasts, you can multitask. You can actually start cleaning the room, or probably when you're driving, or probably when you're in the bus commuting, right? You can listen to the podcast. Kasi we are born naman to do multitask, right? To multitask. So, it's actually doable. So now, when you watch movies, yung mga choices natin, wag muna yung K-drama. But apparently, most streaming apps right now, they have English dub. Diba? So dati kasi, nung wala pang Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Channel, ang mga uso pa dati is CDs where we play the movies. Medyo old school na to. So, subtitle lang talaga. Walang dub. Walang dub. Pero ngayon, you guys, you're living in this era wherein everything is so easy to access. And you can't give me an excuse na I can't find any resources online. Hello, that's so invalid. It's an invalid excuse. Ngayon, if you want to get things done, it's a matter of determination. It's not a matter of resources anymore because you can access everything online, but you have to know which materials are actually beneficial for you, right? So, consistency is key. It needs to be done every day. Okay? Yung mga students ko na Vietnamese, South Korean, Japanese, Chinese, they are trying to learn English even though English is not their mother tongue. The students who have higher frequency in their online classes, sila yung may bigger improvements. May students ako na twice a week lang mag-online classes. 30 minutes lang yon per session. Yung iba naman 1 hour per session. I compared it to my student who attended the classes 5 days a week. The higher the frequency, the better the improvement. The faster the results. That's why you have to be consistent. Why? Because you're hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. This is for your IELTS score, and this is also in preparation for the future because technically you're going to be living abroad wherein your only option is to speak in English because people there can't speak your language. Okay, yeah, you're gonna find Filipinos there. But then, What if you're not around Filipinos? What if you're there alone and only English speakers are around? How can you survive, right? So, isipin nyo, hindi kayo nagwe-waste ng oras just for IELTS. You're actually investing for your future because you're gonna use it. English is the top one international language until now. Kaya naman, this is a good investment for you. Okay, and tip number 2 we have talk to yourself in English. This sounds a little insane. What? Talk to myself in English? How am I gonna do that? It's possible. I talk to myself in English, and I even talk to myself out loud in English. I don't just think of it, I say it. Because I'm usually alone at home for like most half of the day I'm alone. And I'm in my era wherein I'm not regularly chatting with my friends or talking on the phone anymore. I just enjoy my own company. I don't know kung kayo ganon, but ang iniisip kasi ng karamihan, you need a partner to practice. But then who's available? Yung mga Korean students ko, they pay for online tutors so that they can speak English. Because sa bansa nila, tinuturo ang mga written components like grammar, vocabulary. Tinuturo yan sa school nila, but they never get the chance to speak. Okay? So every chance you get, speak in English, even if it means to talk to yourself in English. This is a very simple habit. It sounds a little crazy, but it's not at all. Because not everyone can afford to pay for an online tutor. Not everyone can actually afford, not just money-wise, not just financial, but even time-wise. Okay? Let's say meron kayong mga kamag-anak abroad na may mga friends na native speakers. Aabalahin nyo ba yun? Do they have time, given that we have time difference? Right? So, the most practical thing to do is to talk to yourself in English. So, describe your actions from morning to night. As simple as the first thing I'm gonna do in the morning when I wake up, I'm gonna have breakfast. I'm gonna do my skincare. What else do you do in the morning? Get dressed. I actually prepare for my workout. If you work out, if you go to the gym, hit the gym. Okay? For lunch, what are we having for lunch? Okay? Describe what is happening around you in your house. What do people usually do? Okay? So the goal here is to create a habit of speaking. Because it's another thing to listen to an audio, an English-based audio movie, and it's another thing to actually practice the language through speaking. Okay? Think of it like you searched your favorite recipe online. I want to learn how to cook pizza. I want to learn how to make pizza. Not the one that you just readily buy from the supermarket and then heat it up in the microwave. Not that one, okay? I'm talking about from scratch. Make the dough, the tomato paste, whatever, okay? No matter how many times I watch a video tutorial of pizza making, I'm not gonna learn how to make pizza through watching. Unless I go to the kitchen, get my hands involved, and start making it. My first trial is gonna be a fail, for sure. Everything that you do for the first time, it's a trial and error. Okay? When I first started cooking sunny side up, I burnt it. When I first cooked adobo, I burnt it. Because I didn't know how to navigate the stove. I didn't know that it's supposed to be like mahina lang muna, ganon. I was not well oriented about how to use kitchen equipment. Kaya naman, I did a lot of mistakes in the beginning. And you're gonna be doing a lot of mistakes in the beginning if you're a beginner in speaking. But that's part of the process. Making mistakes is essential for learning. Because if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. You know what? A lot of you guys na-intimidate magpa-coaching because you're not used to feeling intimidated. Meron kasi tayong pride. Ay, parang nakakahiya magpa-coach kay ma'am o kay Sir Kevin kasi baka ma-judge ako. Yan yung laging sinasabi ng mga students ko. I'm a bit scared to be judged. But the thing is, that's the goal here. You need to be judged. You need to know what your initial level is so that we can pinpoint what your weaknesses are so that we can address a solution for that. Right? That's why what I'm telling you is the more chances you get to actually expose yourself in English, you have to grab those chances. Don't be intimidated. We're here to help. We're here to coach you, to guide you, okay? So that's the second habit that you have to build to talk to yourself in English. I have private one-on-one coaching sessions with some of my IELTS students because they have availed it. And binigyan ko sila ng study plan. I compared one student who didn't apply the study plan and I compared it to my other student na naging lenient siya. Kakaiba talaga yung results nitong student na sumunod at saka yung results ng student na hindi nakasunod. There's a big difference. Same sila ng level. Band 6 sila pareho. Pero si student A, ma'am, ang dami ko kasing ginagawa. Wala akong time. Every time I ask her, the student, so, how's your daily practice? Did you apply the study plan that I gave you? No. Kasi may ganit. So many excuses. Which is normal. I don't blame her for that. Kasi she has a different life. She's a mother of 2. Her second baby is still a baby. And then, ito namang si student B. Kamusta naman? How's the study plan that we talked about? Nagsasubmit siya every week. Pinapakita niya sa akin yung results. Because if you're not tracking your results, if you're not tracking numbers, you're not going anywhere. It's just like any other journey. If you don't get the numbers on a sheet of paper, how do you track your results? How do you track your progress, I mean? Right? So, yeah. Number 3, use pictures instead of translation. Visualize situations in your mind. Okay. So, una kasi, ang una niyong may isip, Tagalog words. Kasi yun yung nakasanayan natin. Normal lang yan. But what I want you to do is make an effort. Isa sa mga activities na pinapagawa ko sa mga one-on-one private students ko, we do picture description activity as a warm-up. Kasi kino-condition ko yung brain nila to start thinking in English. Different pictures yon every session. Tapos, you will start thinking of words in English through the pictures. Pictures are for visual learners. And apparently, language learning is also associated to our visual learning. Okay? So, instead of thinking of the word upuan, think of the word chair. The mesa, table. Visualize it. Okay? So, you can start with simple things. In your room, when you wake up, ano una yung nakikita pagkagising nyo? Cellphone, malamang, kasi yun yung una yung hahanapin, di ba? Okay, where's my smartphone? O, isipin mo, instead of, actually, cellphone, English yun. Right? Now, I'm gonna teach you the beauty of passive learning. Okay? Use pictures instead of translation is also linked to the frequency of exposure. Sa phone nyo, lahat English yung language sa phone, di ba? Kahit na sabihin nating, I think most of you naman English ang, ano nyo, no? Yung phone nyo, naka-English mode. Kung mapapansin nyo, yung mga words such as airplane mode, Bluetooth, connection, weak connection, yung mga words na yan, you're highly accustomed to those words because you're on your phone every day and you read those words every day. So the higher the frequency, the more familiarity you have. So ano ba yung mga words na nakikita nyo online? Algorithm, right? Yung mga ganyan, okay? On Instagram, you have direct message, or ano ba yung mga kadalasan yung nakikita? Anything about travel. It depends on what apps you actually use. Ako kasi I usually use an app called Step Up. It tracks how many steps I make a day. So I'm exposed to words such as kasi may mga announcements dito lagi si Step Up eh. So may mga expressions akong napupulot dito like you crushed your step goal. The more frequent I expose myself in reading these announcements, the more na nai-instill siya sa brain ko. Okay? So, that's why yung passive learning is very important. For example, when you're at school, you learn certain words without intentionally learning them. Yun yung passive learning. Hindi mo intention na aralin siya, pero since you're exposed to it most of the time, na your brain is inclined to think about it naturally. Okay? That's why that's what you have to do in your system. You have to think of the words naturally. Even if you just think of what's inside your room, like a bed, a closet, vanity area. What else do you have in your room? Can you name the things that you have in your room?
Desktop,
Mm-hmm.
working, cabinet, television, refrigerator, air fryer, microwave.
You have an air fryer in your room?
Oh, I live in a type, so everything is.
You live in an apartment. Ah, so you're living independently already?
Yes.
No, with your brother?
No, he comes by because he studies in NST.
Ah, so you have a hometown pala. Where's your hometown?
Gapan.
We're from the same place. I'm from Gapan then.
I'm at Gapan, Santo Niño. But our house got burnt down, so we are now living in San Lorenzo.
What? Alin doon?
Yung,
Recent lang.
no, it was 2 years ago? 2 years, 1 year ago, yeah. Our house got burned in Santo Niño. It wasn't the old house, one of the oldest house there. It got burned down, and then
Yun ba yung may parang pinagawang project si Mayor or what? It's an isolated area.
yeah.
Ah,
It's a subdivision.
okay.
And when it got burned down, we switched to San Lorenzo.
You moved out.
Yeah, we
Okay.
moved out because in Santo Niño, my dad wanted to live there
Mhm.
because supposedly the fire truck can't fit in the road with all of the parking there. So that's why
Yeah, masikip nga yung mga eskinita dun eh.
that's why the house burned down faster than usual.
Mm.
There's no cars parked there.
Yes.
The fire
Truck could fit.
yeah, the fire truck could fit faster and they could stop fire. But no. And our neighbors, instead of helping, no,
Oh my God, Dustin.
like the typical ones, they were like this,
Ah.
like a video posting it on Facebook. So that's why they stop. If our neighbors are like that and won't even help at that time of emergency like that, they decided to not continue the house there. Now we live in San Lorenzo near that.
Okay. Right. So that's why you're living alone.
Also because the apartment there is small, so that's why they prefer me here.
Oh,
All of my friends are also here.
okay. Got it. Got it. Okay, so going back to our topic. Bakit ba napunta tayo doon? Oh, because we're talking about your room. Yeah, what are the things that you have in your room? Okay, so how about you girls? What do you usually have in your rooms? Mm-hmm. Collection of
Figures.
uh-huh, you like collecting miniature figures? Okay.
Shelf.
Mm-hmm. For books? Like a bookshelf? The figures. The collection. Mhm. Do you guys, Gen Z people, you like to decorate your rooms or ako kasi I'm in the age na parang tinatamad na ako mag-decorate ng room. Okay. Right. So, what other things do you see on a daily basis when you go out? Do you have the same routine every day?
Mostly yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to practice my English when it's Friday because on Friday it's our it's a game that we call the Legends and Dragons, and we play for like 8 hours. So that's 8 hours of English speaking.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Di ba yun yung nasa
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things? It's a real game?
It's a real game. So in that game we role play as the characters that we want. So in that game, my character is a girl, and
So are you a fanatic of
yeah.
Stranger Things? Because I watched the whole series already.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Stranger Things, but it's the Dungeons and Dragons are way more wide than we know. So that's why when we play it, so let's say we have a different character, we embody that character, so we speak in English mostly. We don't speak Tagalog.
Yeah, okay.
So that's our role. Once we start the game, only mostly speaking in English, and it's kind of fun and also hard, but it's more fun because in the Dungeons and Dragons, of course, we don't think of normal modern stuff. We think about fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy. It's fantasy.
Something more imaginative. So we I have to actually think on what I want to say. Let's say I want to build this.
Does that also involve getting dressed as a character?
Those are like the more let's say high level of playing game so that you can embody your character more. But you don't actually need to dress that when we play.
Do you have to go out and
Yes.
explore?
New. The way how Dungeons and Dragons work, we have what we call a dungeon master, and he will describe. So let's say you enter this room, and
Do you know that game?
it
Do you know
is-
that game?
that's why visual learning is actually a good thing because in that way he also says you enter this room. This room is a
Instructional English.
Yeah. So now we have to take it, and then so say
Uy, sumali kayo sa game niya. Kasi maraming instructional English terms na kailangan yung matutunan in IELTS, di ba? When you're presented the map or diagram, right?
So
I'm just kidding. You don't have to.
The Friday session for me kind of important as well because it made me feel like I'm practicing my English.
Okay.
Well,
Ang galing. So, you know what? Because I'm a fan of Stranger Things. I'm interested to know what you guys do in that game.
Stranger Things in the ending where Mike is explaining the ending of each characters. It's just we are visualizing on what happened to 11, right? He said where this character goes far away. That's how we play in D&D.
Ah.
Explain every single detail so we can tell our other players on what you need to make.
So each game is actually custom made up
Yes.
in your mind.
Yes.
You can like the what do you call no the master? The master?
Yeah, the dungeon master. Yeah.
The dungeon master is like the leader.
Yeah.
But you guys can also create.
Yes. So it's like he explains like there's a chest in front of you. What would you do as a player? I would be like, okay, can I open this chest? Can I use my equipment to unlock this chest? You have to think of other ways on how to open the chest, not just by opening it normally. So I have to you have to think
Your creativity works a lot.
Yes, that's how why I can practice my English speaking more. Because I don't just say.
Is this community big? How many members?
Right now it's getting bigger than usual.
I guess if you have Angel and Valerie in, it's gonna get bigger too. I'm just kidding.
We're getting bigger and bigger right now. That's why they're sad because I'm leaving mostly for Australia.
Masters?
Not I don't want to call myself master, but
Pioneers.
Yeah, the pioneers on how we are having
interesting. Okay. You know what, guys? You have to join. Or if you want to get interested in that, watch Stranger Things. Okay, there's part of the Stranger Things series na hindi ko din holistically na gets kasi I don't know how to play D&D. But yeah, I get the idea because of how I was exposed to that series, because they played it all throughout, right? And I actually feel like there's gonna be another. But although they said that's the final season, pero kasi alive si Elle eh. So there's a chance that a movie can come out of it. Nanood ba kayo ng Stranger Things? No? It's a good practice then because it's an English series and it's a long series. Sorry, what? The Good Doctor. What's that?
It's the series about the autistic doctor.
Autistic. Oh, I know that. Is he yung maputing guy? I know that. I think I watched one season only. Is it also a series?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I watched season 1 only, I think. Fascinating din to. Okay. Shadowing practice. I want to emphasize this because it may seem like it's a simple routine or a simple activity, but it actually helps a lot. Instead of translating words in English, which takes so much of your time and effort, I want you to first practice shadowing. Shadowing is literally repeating a specific phrase or line. Okay, let's start with words. Words and then phrases and then one whole sentence. You listen to a podcast, movie, or a song, and you repeat. Hindi nyo lang i-repeat yung exact words, but I want you to listen to the rhythm, to the pronunciation, to the word stress. Kagaya ng kung paano tinuturuan ang mga kinder students. Repetitive siya, but it gets things done. And less effort in thinking. Okay? So, pag nanood kayo ng movie, may isang line doon. Hey, Jack, go call the others. Eventually, makakapulot kayo doon ng mga phrases na nagagamit natin on a usual basis. At ang kagandahan sa shadowing, you repeat it, and then you start sounding like the one that you copied. Yung rhythm, mapipick up nyo. Yung intonation, mapipick up nyo. Yung pronunciation, tamang pronunciation, mapipick up nyo rin yun. This practice is really underestimated because you feel like masyadong matrabaho to. Manonood ako ng whole movie and just for me to like repeat everything that they say. But if you feel like translating is so difficult, then you have to start doing shadowing because repetition actually builds your familiarity. And it's better than memorization because memorization, you don't, para saan kasi when you memorize something, I feel like you don't understand it fully. But when you're watching a movie or listening to a song, a podcast, kapag paulit-ulit nyo siyang nakikita, like there's visuals, okay? And of course, you tend to get things that are similar to your interest, 'di ba? Pag nakinig ka ng music, yung mga songs ni Taylor Swift, pakinggan nyo yung lyrics niya. Marami kayo doon mapupulot ng mga words and phrases. Okay? Or whatever genre you're into. Interested ka na, and at the same time, you're learning. Okay? So, I want to emphasize this. Easy practice builds confidence. Kapag una kayong nag-start with IELTS, madidemotivate kayo agad. Kasi parang, you're gonna get frustrated. Right? Parang hirap pala. Ang baba ng mga score ko. I keep getting it wrong. It doesn't build your confidence. But if you start with simple things, simple materials, and practice it, somehow meron kang sense of achievement. And your sense of achievement through those easy materials will eventually build your confidence. And confidence is important when you're trying to learn something new. Okay? You have to accept the fact that it's going to be difficult in the beginning. That's why we start with easy level first. So what I'm saying is, even though shadowing is a practice wherein parang ang dali lang, kasi all you have to do is listen to the lines, repeat them until you get it right. But that easy practice is something that will build your confidence because your confidence will make you stay consistent in the zone. Okay? So what I do with my beginner students, we practice with really basic structure of sentences. So pwede kayo mag-practice sa simple present tenses, which describe habitual things, right? A routine, something that's done on a regular basis, a scheduled event. Sa simple present tense, pag nag-practice kayo ng sentences ng paulit-ulit, somehow it will create that confidence in you. Kasi parang, okay, kaya ko pala eh. Right? Wag muna tayo dun sa mga complex formation of sentences structures. Dun muna tayo sa basic. Okay? Let's have a quick 5-minute break because we're in the lecture. Isang oras na tayo here. Let's have a quick 5-minute break. You can go to the toilet, drink some water if you want, grab something to eat. 5 minutes, ma'am, talaga. Okay. Yeah, you can go on a toilet break. Live small moments in English. Fluency grows through regular exposure, which means immersion. Okay? I know this is not gonna sound something that you would do, but I've created a kind of mentality wherein I do what I want and I degaff. Okay? Whenever I go to a coffee shop or anywhere I purchase something, I would speak to the staff in English. They get intimidated, but that's okay. Because that's where I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable in speaking in English. Now, if you want to level up your confidence, you have to be able to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Okay? Isa sa mga students namin dati in the company that I used to work with, He came to the Philippines just to immerse. Because in Korea, nobody speaks English there. If you go to a coffee shop and you speak English to the staff, they're not going to speak to you. Also in Japan. We are so blessed that in Philippines, staff speak English, right? It's not something to be intimidated about, especially when you're in Manila, in the metro. Here in Cabanatuan, nanonormalize na rin siya. Although some staff glare at me sometimes when I order in English. Pero again, create a mentality that you don't give a, yun na yun. Okay? Because ang goal mo dito is to build your confidence. And if getting out of your comfort zone will make you build your confidence, so be it. Hindi lang naman yung yung weekly coaching sessions natin ang importante dito. Kailangan, ma-build mo din yung confidence mo in speaking, in using English through exposure. Okay? Hindi lang naman sa coffee shop. Sa iba pa, when you go to the drugstore, when you go to fast food chains. Pero syempre, yung mga alam mong kaya ka din kausapin in English, right? I mean, not that I'm underestimating certain sectors of the society. I'm just saying that, let's say, if kakausapin mo yung conductor ng English, I don't really think that it's going to be reciprocated. But if you go to like an establishment where you know they can speak English, then why not, right? If it's going to build your confidence. Yun nga, yung student na from South Korea, nag-enroll siya for face-to-face classes. And hindi lang siya restricted sa room or classroom setting. Hindi ako yung na-assign na teacher, pero isa sa mga teachers sa company namin na-assign sa kanya, they would go to a restaurant together. They would go to a coffee shop together. The key is to build confidence in using English in daily situations. Because that's what he wanted. That's what he requested for. No malice there, okay? It was done professionally, not to date the teacher or anything. It's done because he wanted to build his speaking skills. Okay? So, tingnan nyo. Lumiwag ba siya from South Korea just to get that experience in the Philippines? You are already in the Philippines and you have an advantage because we are a country wherein most people can actually understand English. Okay? So, I want you to exhaust all efforts that you can. Okay? Because it's going to help you holistically. Next, we have, ay, hanggang 5 lang pala. All right, so these are the helpful tips. Small daily habits create long-term fluency. Focus on consistency rather than perfection. Consistency is when things get hard, you're demotivated, you don't feel like doing it, but you still push yourself. Not to perfection, but to progress. Okay? When you've already created a habit, it's not easy to break anymore. Pero kung ang kine-create mo lang ay yung mentality na kailangan perfect lahat. I failed once, twice, I'm gonna discontinue. It's not gonna get you anywhere, okay? I've encountered a lot of students, they didn't get the IELTS band score that they needed on the first take. And I explained to those students, it's because wala ka pa dun sa band level na yon. And you're at the band level na it will really take time for you to reach it. But the thing is, it's not impossible if you just keep trying, if you just stay consistent. Because language acquisition and training, it actually takes time. Just like starting a new physical activity like yoga. The first few sessions are going to be the hardest. It's going to test your consistency, your resilience, your determination. But if you really want something, You gotta lock in. You gotta stay consistent. Yung isa kong student, nakatatlong take siya bago niya makuha yung required niyang band score. But she successfully did it. Nagawa niya. Even though it took her 3 exams. It's about your attitude, okay, towards failure. It's not about what happens to you, but how you react to it. Gusto ko makondisyon yung isip nyo kasi I don't want to give you false standards of what you are going to expect in IELTS. Because mangyayari yon, okay? If you're not yet on the band level that you're required to get, normal lang na hindi mo makuha siya on the first take. Let's normalize failure. Not in a sense that you aim to fail, but in a sense that you bounce back from it right away. Okay? So, ikino-compare ko siya dun sa isa kong student na give up after not getting the required band score on the first take. So, basically, hindi na siya nag-train for IELTS. Hindi na siya nag-retake na IELTS. He just accepted the fate. I'm not gonna go after my dreams abroad anymore. I'm not judging him for that. May iba-iba tayong journey in life. But I'm just showing you the difference between someone who really wants their goal and someone who is half-hearted about it. So ask yourself today, are you half-hearted or are you locked in? Because you have to know what your goals are. Because your goals will determine the kind of habits you create every day. And if you're not creating habits that are taking you towards your goal, then what are we even doing, right? Okay, so anyways, hopefully nakatulong yung ating first half of the lecture. Now we're going to continue with the second half, which is, as I promised, the second part of grammar for the IELTS. I'm going to unshare my screen, but share it again once I open the document. Any questions so far? None? Okay. Where is it? No, I can't find it yet, guys. Just a second. So on the first half of this lecture, we discussed pronouns and prepositions. I recently uploaded that, so makikita nyo din siya sa aking IELTS playlist on my channel. So please just check it out later. Now we're going to proceed with articles, quantifiers, verb tenses, sentence structures. Importante tong part na to, sentence structures. Papasadahan lang natin si articles, quantifiers, verb tenses, but I really want to focus on sentence structures because that's the area wherein I see a lot of you struggle with, especially whenever I check your writing. Okay. Okay. Articles. The words a, and the are articles in English grammar. Okay? So we address them as indefinite articles. Why? Because they are not pertaining to a specific thing or a noun. Okay? So we all know that when we're talking about count nouns, yun yung mga nouns na pwedeng i-count. Like oranges, apples, pencils, tables. But non-count nouns are those that are measured through units, like a gallon of water, right? Water, anything liquid, coffee. In powder form, flour, sugar, baking powder, yung mga yon, non-count nouns yon, or uncountable nouns. So we only use the articles a and an when we're pertaining to count nouns, because the determiner a and an means that you're talking about one thing only. I have an apple. I have a cell phone with me, right? You can't really use this article if you're not pertaining to only one thing, diba? And basic rule, we use an when it's followed by a vowel sound. Not just a vowel, but a vowel sound, okay? Let me give you some examples. Okay? The determiner a is used to determine that there's one bag. There's a bag of apples in her car. Okay? Kung marami, she has bags of apples in her car. Next we have Tom booked a hotel room for the night. Not multiple rooms, just one hotel room. Clear? Now we use an when it's followed by a vowel sound. I have an honest opinion about the experience. Kung makikita nyo, yung word na honest, it started with a consonant H. But when we pronounce it, it's only the vowel sound because it's a silent H. Kaya naman ang determiner na gagamitin nyo ay an honest opinion. I have an apple in my bag. Vowel sound. Okay? Yun yung difference ng a tsaka an. They are called indefinite articles because they're not pertaining to something that we are both familiar with. Okay? Let's say I'm asking you to get me a book from that shelf. It could be any book. It's indefinite. It's not known which book I'm pertaining to. I just need the book for like para mapatungan ko nitong projector para mabalanse. So Valerie, could you get me a book from the shelf? That's just an example sentence. I'm not really asking you to do it. So, yon, diba? Valerie is gonna go to the bookshelf and get me any book from the bookshelf because it's an indefinite. Gumamit ako ng indefinite article. But if I use the article the book, it becomes definite because I'm pertaining to a specific book. Valerie, I need the orange book from the shelf. I need you to get the specific orange book. Kaya siya tinawag na definite article, the. Okay, we're gonna talk about it later. Pero dito muna tayo focus sa indefinite articles. Do you get the difference? So, and an are both pertaining to indefinite nouns. But the thing is, the difference between the two, we use the we use the indefinite article a when it's followed by a consonant. The first word of the next the first letter of the next word is beginning with a consonant sound. Bag, hotel. Pero ito, yung H natin, naka-silent mode siya. So, an honest opinion. Okay? There is an enormous grasshopper. I don't even know how it's spelled anymore. Grasshopper on the table. Gumamit tayo ng definite article dito na the table. Because we're both in one room and there's just one table there. So wala akong ibang pinapertain na table kundi itong table na to. Okay? And we're all looking at it. We know that there is an enormous grasshopper on the table. I didn't say there is the enormous grasshopper because I don't know the grasshopper. It's indefinite, okay? All right, that's very simple. Nagets yan agad, am I right? No further explanation on that. Okay. The definite article the is the most frequent word in English, and you will be using it in your essay writing multiple times. So, isipin nyo. It's the most common word, and you'll be using it in your written outputs, writing task 1 and 2, multiple times. You can't afford to misuse it. You can't afford to use it in a wrong way because the more you make mistakes with the article the, ma-accumulate yung point deductions nyo, even though it's just a minor error. Because grammar is really important in writing. It's not as important as it is in speaking. Kasi in speaking, marinig man niya yung mistake mo, hindi niya naman manonote lahat. Pero pagdating sa writing, you're leaving an evidence of your errors, like punctuation marks, spelling errors, spacing errors, grammar errors, which is 25% of your score. Okay, so gets nyo na yung difference ng and at saka the? Another example. The girl, let's say this room is filled with pupils. And I see one of the students who seem to look unwell. Mukha siyang hihimatayin na, okay? So it's a mix of different students in the room. There are male, female students, but I'm pertaining to one of them, okay? The girl on the last row of the seats. The girl in a red dress looks unwell. Okay? Ang sabihin niyo, ma'am, nasan yung girl na naka-red dress? That's just an example, okay? I'm not trying to scare you or anything. So the girl in a red dress, okay? It means I'm specifically talking about the girl in a red dress. Now, if you want to use the article a, I need a pupil who would volunteer. A girl. I need a girl. Indefinite. Kasi kahit sino dito sa classroom, pwede. Kasi nga sabi ko, I just need a girl. I didn't say that I need the girl in a red dress to volunteer. I'm asking any girl from the room. That's why I use the indefinite pronoun a. Got it? Okay. Now let's talk about quantifiers. Quantifiers are important because isa sa pinaka-common mistakes ng mga writers, ng mga test takers in writing ay ang subject-verb agreement. Okay. Napaka-importante ng subject-verb agreement because a lot of you make accumulated grammar mistakes, particularly in SVG. SVA. I'm sorry. SVA. SVA stands for subject-verb agreement. Okay? So your subject needs to agree with your verb. Una muna, ma'am, ano yung subject sa sentence? It's the main noun. How do you know if that's the main noun? That's the doer of the action. Remember? Maraming pwedeng maging noun sa sentence. Pero isa lang, sa isang simple sentence, isa lang si subject. Basta siya yung doer ng action, so siya si subject. Gets? Ngayon, yung verb mo, which is the main action, has to always agree with your subject. So, kung si subject ay singular, kailangan naka-singular form din si verb. That's what subject-verb agreement means. Okay? And quantifiers can be very, very confusing. Okay? So let me give an example first. Men. Ang ating pagtatalunan ngayon ay si linking verb or ang ating be verb, are or is. Pero ang ating main verb dito ay expected. So kaya malalaman mo kung sino si subject sa ating, kung alin ang subject sa ating sentence, if you ask yourself, what is the main action here? Expected. Okay? So ito, ang tinatawag natin dito, helping verbs or be verbs. Okay? Pero dito tayo mamimili kung mag-a-agree ba si subject kay verb. Okay? So ang subject natin ay men. Men are expected to be the provider in the family. Usually traditional families I'm talking about. I know you might argue with me and say, in the modern families, both husband and wife or any kind of gender pwedeng maging provider, okay? But in traditional families, ito yung setup, okay? So now, men are or men is? Why?
Or the general.
Tama yung sagot mo, Dustin, but the most simple explanation is men is in plural form. So kung plural form si subject, kailangan naka-plural form din si verb. Okay? Men are expected to be the provider in the family. Okay? Another example. Teka lang, may mga nagre-react yata dito sa sentence ko ah. Okay. Kala ko may mga violent reactions tayo. Okay, so children okay. Children is in plural or singular form? That's right. Naka-plural form si children. Ang singular form ng children ay child. Okay? Now, ano ang plural form ng verb? Play or plays? Children play in the park is the correct answer. Because when we're talking about regular verbs, pag walang S, plural. Okay? Pag may S, singular. Medyo nakakalito tong rule na to, okay? Nakakalito yung rule kasi baliktad siya sa rule natin sa noun. Okay? Child is singular. The child plays in the park. Okay? Tandaan nyo yung mga basic rules na to. The child, singular, plays in the park. Children, plural. Plural din si verb. Children play in the park. Now, that's what you call subject-verb agreement. Okay? Let me give you more examples. Sige, lagyan natin ng S si noun para medyo malinawan kayo. The boy we have our subject, which is the boy, right? Because he's the main doer of the action. He's the doer of the action. So we have the boy. Singular, plural. The boy. Singular, plural. Singular. Okay, yan. The boy is singular, isa lang. Okay? Sabi dito, love or loves eating cake. Again, as I said, kapag ang noun ay singular, ha? Kapag ang noun ay singular, walang S. Kapag ang noun ay plural, may S. The boys. Ngayon, babalik na rin yung rule na yon pagdating sa regular verbs. Okay? Because we have here, pag si main action word or si verb ay plural, walang S. Kapag naman siya ay singular, may S. So, the boy loves eating cake. So, baliktad sila ng rule. Okay? Sa paglagay ng S. Malinaw ba? Okay, let me explain it again. Nalilito na ba ang lahat? I know, I know, I know. Okay, tama yung mga sagot nyo. Loves ang tamang sagot. AJ, Reina, thank you for your participation. Okay, the boy loves eating cake. Pag si noun, si subject, ay plural, may S, the boys. Okay, the boys. The boys love eating cake. Kapag si subject ay singular, wala siyang S, the boy. Okay, singular, walang S. Ngayon, baliktad yung rule pagdating sa verbs, especially when we're pertaining to regular verbs such as love, play. Okay? So, pag singular ang main action, si verb, may S. Singular, may S. Verb, okay? Ngayon, kapag plural, si verb, walang S. Babaliktarin nyo lang yung rule kay noun at saka kay verb. Pagdating doon, para mag-agree si subject at saka si verb. Okay, gets nyo na? Sige. Isa pang example para tuluyang magets. Okay. Okay. Anna and Kath. So, ang subject natin ay plural or singular? O yun, plural. Confident kayo dapat sa sagot nyo. Kasi dalawa, si Anna at si Kath, dalawa sila, di ba? Plural. Ang subjects natin ay plural. So, si Anna and Kath. Ngayon, kailangan naka-plural form din si verb. Where or where's? Anna and Kath, di ba ang plural form walang S? Wear the same dress. Ilang example pa ang kailangan natin, guys? Okay lang yan? Sige, hanggat sa magets nyo. Okay lang yan. Don't feel frustrated. Kaya. Anna and Kath wear the same dress. Anna wears the same dress as yesterday. So, ang subject natin ay si Anna, singular. Ngayon, si singular verb natin may S. Kasi Anna wears the same dress as yesterday. Right? Okay, thank you for your participation, guys. Okay. Isa pa, isa pa. Para sure na talagang gets. Bago-bago ko lang yung subject nyo, nalilito na kayo Hindi lang may S tsaka walang S yung ginawa ko. Okay lang yan, para ma-expose kayo sa more different situations, okay? So, sige. The newborn babies were or was all healthy. Tama. Singular si was, plural si were, kasi plural ang ating subject, which is babies. Newborn babies. Okay? The newborn babies were all healthy. The newborn baby was healthy. Okay? Yes? Okay, thank you so much. Now let's talk about quantifiers. Kapag kasi hindi ko muna diniscuss yung basic, mahihirapan kayong sumunod sa ating topic. Okay? Quantifiers. Quantifiers are words that give information about the number of something. So, meron tayong quantifiers that are used for count and uncount nouns. Again, countable nouns are nouns that you can count logically. A cup, cups. Chair, chairs. Table, tables. Orange, oranges. Non-count nouns are the ones that should be measured. Milk, coffee, water, oil, salt, pepper, basically anything that you could see in your pantry, in the kitchen. Powder in form, liquid in form. Gas in form, helium, ganyan, okay? Air. Ngayon, gagamitin nyo tong mga quantifiers na to. All, any, less, a lot, lots of, more, most, none of, and some. Sabi dito, they are very versatile quantifiers because they can both be used on uncount and non-count, uncount and count nouns. Okay? For example, all the oranges are fresh. All the milk in the refrigerator is expired. Regardless if I use countable nouns or non-countable nouns, these quantifiers can be used. Okay? There isn't enough milk in the refrigerator. There are some cookies on the table. Cookies are countable, right? Pero nagamitan ko siya ng quantifier na some. I have some water in my flask. You can drink some. Water is a non-count noun, pero nagamit ko yung quantifier na some. Kasi nga, versatile itong mga quantifiers na to. Pwede mo siyang gamitin both when you're pertaining to count and uncount nouns. Got it? But there are quantifiers na hindi mo pwedeng gamitin sa uncount nouns. They are only specifically used when you're pertaining to count nouns. Both apples are rotten. Each of the students needed a private tutor. Fewer mistakes were seen on students' essays. Fewer mistakes. Mistakes are accountable, right? Pero I can't say there is several milk in the refrigerator, but I can say there are several gallons of milk in the refrigerator. Pero kung milk lang, hindi pwede. Kailangan gamitan ko siya ng countable noun na gallons. Okay? There are several gallons of milk in the refrigerator. But I can't say there are several milk in the refrigerator. Can I? I can't. Okay? So yon. The only thing that you can do is memorize the list. Diyan papasok ang ating memorization. Payag ako. Basta, kailangan alam nyo kung alin yung mga quantifiers na pwede sa non-count at count, at saka alin yung mga pwede lang sa count nouns. Got it? Okay. And then, we have specific quantifiers that are only used for uncount nouns. A little, much or not much, and a bit of. Okay. Hey, did you check if we were running low on groceries? Okay. There's a bit of coffee left in the container, so I think we need to restock. Uncount ba si coffee? Yes. There's not much olive oil left in the bottle. We need to buy a new bottle of olive oil. Oil is an uncount, okay? Now, I want you to pay attention to either, neither. So, pwede kang gumamit ng either, neither when you're pertaining about two people or things. But you have to use singular verb for nouns with either and neither, okay? Either Michael or Anna, either Michael or Anna is available to be the speaker at the ceremony. Okay? Either. So, ibig sabihin, pwedeng si Anna, pwedeng si Michael, pareha silang available to be speakers at the ceremony. Pero gumamit ako ng singular verb na is. Kasi nga, yun yung grammatically correct when you're using either, neither. Even when you say, wait lang. Even if you use neither, I'm really into my I'm very physically active nowadays, and I think I need a new pair of running shoes. Do you have any recommendations? I recommend the new, I'm not familiar with the units or the name of the models of shoes, but I'm just gonna mention brands. I think you could go for Adidas and Nike. But try to avoid other brands. Okay, let's say, ano ba yung mga brands ng shoes, guys? My brain is a little bit... Okay. Puma. Yung mga hindi maganda for running. Do you know any? Okay, let's say Puma and I've read I've read a lot of bad reviews when it comes to Puma and Converse shoes. They're not really inclined for running. So neither Puma or Converse is recommended for running. Okay? So nakita niyo yun? Neither Puma or Converse is recommended. Ibig sabihin, iwasan mo yung dalawa na yun. Hindi sila recommended for running. Okay? So there. I think we're gonna go move on to sentence structure. Patapos na kasi yung oras natin. Isi-skip ko tong verb tenses just because meron tayong isolated lecture for verb tenses wherein we will discuss all the verb tenses. That's grammar 3. And if you want a replay lecture, meron akong 3 lectures na nakabukod for grammar 3. But I'm gonna plot it in the schedule too if you feel like that's the area we're in. You feel more challenged with. So, dito muna tayo sa run-on and comma splices because, again, this is the area of difficulty that most students face when it comes to writing. So, when we say run-on sentences or comma splices, these are sentences na grammatically incorrect because hindi mo siya tinatapos or hindi mo alam kung kailan gagamitin si semicolon or kailan gagamitin si end dash, period, and stuff like that. Just like what Dustin said earlier, dun ka sa part na intimidate. So let's address that. Let's talk about clauses first. Balik ulit tayo sa blank space. Let's talk about clauses. So we have what you call an independent clause and a dependent clause. From the name itself, independent, it can stand on its own. Or it's complete. Okay? Ibig sabihin, it has a complete thought. Sorry, buuin ko na para maintindihan nyo. An independent clause is a sentence or a clause that can stand on its own and it has a complete thought. For example, okay, let's say the number of pupils who received a scholarship skyrocketed this school year. Oh, humabol pa si Cherry. Patapos na ang ating lecture. Okay, pero pwede rin naman. It's okay. You can just watch the replay lecture. So the number of pupils who received a scholarship skyrocketed this school year. This is an independent clause because complete ang idea natin. Complete, meron siyang subject, meron siyang verb, nag-agree sila. Okay? Wala nang kulang. Unlike a dependent clause, it relies on another independent to complete it. Okay? Kaya nga siya dependent. Kasi it needs another clause to complete it. Okay? While there was a decrease in the total number of enrollees. This is a dependent clause. Kasi nag-aawang pa siya ng kaduktong para mabuo ang kanyang thought. Got it? Usually, nagsisimula siya sa while, whereas, furthermore, mga transition words, okay? Ngayon, ididikit natin si independent clause to complete the idea. While there was a decrease in the total number of enrollees, the number of pupils who received a scholarship skyrocketed this year. Complete na ba ang sentence? Yes. Kasi, dinuktungan natin ng independent clause si dependent clause. I know these samples are a little too difficult, so dun tayo sa medyo basic. Dependent or independent? Angel, what's your answer? Why is it independent? Independent. Sabi mo, independent, dependent. Si independent siya yung complete na yung thought. Si dependent siya yung incomplete yung thought. Okay, dependent. Nalito lang siya ng konti. Okay lang yan. Dependent to. Dependent clause. Okay? My husband was setting the table. Dependent or independent? Independent. While I was cooking dinner, to complete the thought, you attach the independent clause. While I was cooking dinner, my husband was setting the table. Now, this is a complete thought. Kasi pinagsama mo na si dependent clause kay independent clause. Alright? Got it? Okay. Now, run-on sentences. Pinagsasama nyo yung mga independent clauses without adding a punctuation mark. That's a very big problem. For example, what did you do last weekend? I went to the mall. I visited my grandparents. Walang comma, walang conjunction. Yun lang yung sinulat mo. I visited the mall. I went to the mall. Binisita yung mall. I went to the mall. I visited my grandparents. Minsan kasi hindi nyo talaga alam kung kailan dapat nang lagyan ng period, no? Kung kailan dapat tuldukan yung mga bagay-bagay. I'm just kidding. So, this is a run-on sentence. Because what you should have done here, option A. Option A, add a period to separate the sentences. Because in no way you can combine without adding any kind of punctuation or word. Next, I went to the mall. Let's make it into one sentence. What did you do last weekend? I went to the mall and visited my grandparents. This is the most simple option. And then we have option C. Gagamitan natin ng semicolon. Semicolon means you use it to combine one thought na magka-connect lang naman. Kasi you're just basically answering one question. What did you do last weekend? I went to the mall, I visited my grandparents. Pero hindi ko nire-recommend ang paggamit ng semicolon because most of us get confused with it. Tama ba? Most of us are not familiar on how to use it. That's why it's not recommended. Hang on. I'm gonna give... more examples. I recently saw a movie in theaters, but I think I wasted money. So you can say, I hate the movie. It's so boring. How are we going to correct this? I hate the movie. It's so boring. How are you going to correct this? A, you can separate the sentences. Okay? I hate the movie. It's so boring. Next, you can use a connector, such as you gave your response and you gave a reason why you hated it. So, i-connect mo siya with the word because. And of course, a comma. I hate the movie because it's so boring. This is how you correct it. Okay? Pwede rin naman, semicolon. But again, I don't recommend it. Okay? Now, I'll give you an example of a comma splice. Comma splice means dapat nilagyan mo siya ng comma pero hindi mo nilagyan. I went to the cafe, Jane was there. How do we correct this? I went to the cafe and Jane was there. Pwedeng ganyan. Or I went to the cafe, period. Jane was there. I went to the cafe. Jane was there. Pwede rin naman, meron pa tayong isang option. When I went to the cafe, Jane was there. Ayan yung, kung gusto mo gamitan ng comma, kailangan lagyan mo ng when. When I went to the cafe, Jane was there. Okay, got it? So, that's about it for today's lecture. Sana nakatulong tong mga refresher grammar lectures natin. Do you have any questions before we end? So, who's gonna stay? Valerie, you want to stay? Okay, sure. All right, so for everyone who participated via Zoom, ang ganda ng retention natin, in fairness. Nagsistay kayo talaga hanggat sa matapos. I'm really happy for those who stayed. And hopefully, maka-attend kayo tomorrow ng ating speaking coaching. Sir Kevin, let me give you reminders, okay? Sir Kevin does not entertain students who have not yet undergone a speaking major lecture. So make sure Option one, replay the lecture from our YouTube videos or attend one. It might be scheduled next week. Kasi kaka-speaking major lang last week, 2 weeks ago, and last week then. Okay? Or, yeah, yun lang yung two options nyo. Watch the replay or attend a major lecture. Pero don't miss the coaching session tomorrow. Kasi chance nyo rin makapunta dito to also do the mock tests if you feel like you don't want to do it at home.